Imagine you wake up tomorrow and every question you've ever asked finally gets answered. Why are you here? What happens when you die? Whether any of this matters. And the answer to every single one is, it doesn't. There's no reason. The universe was never going to tell you because there was never anything to tell. Most people spend their whole lives running from that thought. One philosopher decided to walk straight into it. And what he found on the other side wasn't despair, it was something closer to freedom. 1. The question under every question. Albert Camus opens his most famous essay with a claim that sounds almost too dramatic to be philosophy. He says there's only one truly serious philosophical problem, and it's suicide. Not as a call to action, as a diagnostic question. Judging whether life is or isn't worth living, he argues, is the most basic question philosophy can ask. Everything else, physics, politics, whether the universe has 3 dimensions, comes after. That's a strange place to start a philosophy essay. But Camus isn't being edgy for its own sake. He's pointing at something almost everyone feels, but few people say out loud. You get up, you go to work, you make plans for the weekend, for next year, for retirement. And every so often, usually late at night or in a quiet moment that catches you off guard, a question slips through. Why? Not why do I have to go to work? The bigger why. Why any of it? Why get up at all, in a universe that will erase every trace of you and everyone you love, and eventually erase itself too? Camus has a name for the moment when that question breaks through the routine. He calls it waking up. 2. What the absurd actually means. Here's where people usually get Camus wrong. They think the absurd means life is meaningless. That's close but not quite right, and the difference matters. For Camus, the absurd isn't a property of the universe. The universe is just the universe. Indifferent, silent, not cruel, not kind, just there. And it isn't a property of human beings either. We're the opposite of indifferent. We're desperate for meaning. We ask why. We build religions, philosophies, entire civilizations trying to answer it. The absurd lives in the gap between those two things. It's the collision between a universe that offers no answers and a mind that can't stop demanding one. Camus compares it to a familiar kind of heartbreak, loving someone who will never love you back the way you need them to. The absurd is that same mismatch, except the other party isn't a person, it's existence itself. So the absurd isn't out there in the world, and it isn't just inside your head. It's the relationship between the two. And once you see it, Camus says, you can't unsee it. 3. 3 ways out. Once someone actually feels the weight of the absurd, Camus says there are 3 typical exits. The first is physical. Just leave the game. If life has no inherent meaning, why keep playing? Camus takes this option seriously enough to write an entire book responding to it, but he rejects it. Walking away doesn't solve the absurd. It just ends the person experiencing it. The contradiction is still sitting there, unresolved for everyone else. The second is what Camus calls philosophical suicide. This one's sneakier. It's not about ending your life. It's about ending the question. You take that unbearable tension between wanting meaning and finding silence, and you paper over it, usually with a leap of faith. God has a plan. Everything happens for a reason. It'll all make sense eventually. Camus doesn't dismiss religious belief out of contempt. His objection is more precise. It's a way of pretending you've answered the question when you've actually just stopped asking it. The third exit is distraction. Just don't look at it. Fill the calendar. Keep the notifications on. Camus spends less time on this one, but it's probably the exit most of us take most often, whether we mean to or not. Camus' problem with all 3 is the same. Each one gets rid of one side of the equation. Suicide removes the person. Faith removes the silence. Distraction removes your attention. But Camus wants something much harder. He wants to keep both sides fully alive. The demand for meaning and the universe's refusal to provide it, without flinching from either one. 4. Sisyphus pushes his rock. To make that idea concrete, Camus reaches for a character out of Greek mythology, Sisyphus. The myth is simple. Sisyphus angers the gods. By some versions, he even tricks death itself, and receives a punishment engineered for maximum futility. He must push a massive boulder up a mountain. Every time he nears the top, it rolls back down, and he has to start again, forever. No progress, no finish line, no moment where the work is done and he gets to rest. Just the rock, the mountain, and the walk back down to do it all again. Camus zeroes in on one detail almost nobody thinks to consider: the walk back down. That's the moment Sisyphus isn't pushing. He's not straining, not focused on the task. He's just walking, fully conscious, back toward a boulder he knows is waiting for him. That, Camus says, is the moment that matters most, because that's when Sisyphus can see his whole situation clearly and choose how to meet it. 5. The turn. Here's the turn the entire essay has been building toward. Camus says we've been reading the myth wrong. We assume Sisyphus is miserable because we'd be miserable. But misery requires hoping for something the rock isn't giving you, reaching the top for good, being finished, being rewarded. Sisyphus, in Camus' reading, has stopped hoping for that, and the moment he stops, the punishment loses its grip on him. He's not pushing the rock because he expects it to stay at the top this time. He's not doing it for some future payoff that's never coming. He's doing it because it's his, completely, and he's chosen to meet it with his eyes open instead of shut. That's what Camus means by revolt. Not rebellion against the gods, not some dramatic act of defiance. Just this: continuing to live, fully awake to the absurd, without pretending it isn't there, and without letting it crush you either. Holding both truths: I want meaning, and the universe isn't going to hand it to me, at the same time, and choosing to keep going anyway. Camus closes the essay with the line the whole thing has been building toward. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because the rock stops being heavy, it doesn't, because for the first time, Sisyphus is the one deciding what his walk back down the mountain means. 6. What this actually looks like. So what does that actually change for you on a random Tuesday? It's not a productivity hack. Camus isn't telling you to find your passion or optimize your morning routine. He's making a stranger offer: the freedom that comes from no longer needing the universe to justify you. If nothing is inherently, cosmically meaningful, then nothing is inherently meaningless either. The job, the relationship, the hobby, the goal you're chasing, none of it needs permission from the universe to matter to you. You get to decide that. Not once, but every day, the way Sisyphus decides it on every walk back down the mountain. That's the part people miss about Camus. They read the absurd and expect nihilism. What they get instead is closer to the opposite: a reason to care about things more, not less. Because now the caring is yours. Nobody handed it to you. Nobody can take it away by proving the universe doesn't agree. The rock is still going to roll back down. That was never up for negotiation. The only question Camus leaves you with is how you want to walk behind it. So the next time that 2 a.m. why slips through the noise, you don't have to flinch from it, and you don't have to answer it with a lie. You can just look at it fully and keep walking anyway. If you want the next one of these, suggest me your favorite topic. Subscribe if you want to think about the questions that don't have easy answers. I'll see you in the next one.